Hello there, welcome to Critic Reviews. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the movie Sting. Speaking as an arachnid enthusiast myself, with a large collection of spiders and a YouTube channel dedicated to removing the stigma behind them, I went into Sting with mixed feelings. After all, it's yet another horror movie with a, or many, killer spiders as the antagonist. Let's face it, spiders probably only come second to sharks as the most popular creature in horror films, and even that is only because we got a whole genre of shark versus increasingly implausible adversary movies. Suffice to say, spiders get a bad rap, and it's not helped by films or media in general. But hey, films are also fun, fanciful fiction. I love eight-legged freaks, and that's all about giant mutated spiders overrunning a town in a ludicrous film that is an absolute riot. So it's not all bad. Films are always going to prey on people's fears. That's what good horror does. There's even a new version of arachnophobia coming out, with a poster that makes me twitch. It's so inaccurate. So, where does Sting lie in this array of ambulating arachnid antics? First of all, let's outline the plot. Spoiler free, of course. The film starts with an elderly, confused woman phoning up an exterminator after hearing noises in the wall. The exterminator turns up, gets monstered, and the lady, who quite clearly has Alzheimer's, forgets about him and calls the next exterminator in the phone book. We see from the remains on the floor in the other room, this has happened a few times before. This sets up a darkly comic tone, which is mostly carried throughout the film. We then jump to 4 days earlier. The news is talking about solar storms and asteroids, and a small projectile smashes through a window into a doll's house, where it promptly hatches into a spider. At this point, I breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, so the spider is an alien. License given to be totally scientifically non-accurate here, movie. Girl finds spider, keeps spider, feeds spider. Spider grows, starts killing pets and people. There's the rest of the plot for you, as spoiler-free as I can possibly make it. But, although this suggests a rather simplistic horror flick, I am pleased to say that there is much more to it. First, we have the family dynamic. The girl, Charlotte, and I see what you did there, movie, is part of a dysfunctional family. Daddy is absent, supposedly in Thailand. Mum has a new long-term partner, and there is a new baby as well. Charlotte feels excluded, and she goes off doing her own thing in a small apartment complex which also houses extended members of her family, along with a few additional oddball characters that we are introduced to early on in an entirely unsubtle "these are just spider fodder" sequence. Charlotte clambers around the ducts of the complex a la Newt from Aliens. She's moody, rude, neglectful, and willful, even beyond what could be expected from her extenuating circumstances. She's also a little bit of a prodigy, being an accomplished artist and comic book writer. Ethan takes her work and draws it professionally, and then gets it published. She has a published series with a character based upon her absent father, who she still idolises, thinking that only the thousands of miles between them prevents him from being in her life. She finds the spider and forms a bond with it, calling it Sting after Bilbo's sword in The Hobbit, instantly making her a teeny bit more likeable. The spider is a mimic and vocalises, copying a notification tone from her phone into a kind of whistle. Now, I thought this was a really cool conceit in the trailer, and it was sadly underutilised in the film. I would have used it like a motion tracker, again from Aliens, indicating the presence of Sting without it being on screen. The spider could maybe even use it to torment and confuse its prey, but alas, no. The disappointments don't end there either. Some of the pacing and construction and the tone of the film is sadly inconsistent, jarring even. It's nothing that ruins the film, but it is noticeable, and some better editing would have helped. I think I would have made a couple of slight changes. The film is 90 minutes in and out, and I think you could have got away with an extra 5 or 10 minutes, including some more spider action. I can't find the budget for this film, but Weta Workshop who did the spider effects, labelled it as a small budget film, one of the smallest they've worked on. Maybe in this instance, they did all they could. Then there are the inaccuracies. I'm not counting anything spider-based here because, again, the spider is an alien. But saying I googled it and nothing came up when the spider looks 99% identical to Latrodectus hasselti, the Australian redback, is an issue, for me at least. Likewise, some of the setup and payoff is extremely obvious, and there were few surprises in that sense, with everything being telegraphed miles ahead, to the extent that the setups may as well be lit up in neon. However, what I really liked about Sting was the heart of the movie. Ethan, struggling to provide for his family, works as a handyman in the complex, alongside doing the comic. Despite the strains and stresses that the family dynamic goes through, with Ethan always destined to be the outsider, he tries his best to be a father figure to Charlotte. When the film threatens to become all about Charlotte, rectifying her mistake and taking down her giant mutated pet as her character shows a pleasant bit of growth, Ethan still has a role to play in protecting his family, prepared to sacrifice everything in order to save those he loves. It was refreshing in a movie ecosystem where quite often the father figure is downplayed or removed entirely, and it added heart to a monster movie that on first glance may seem very superficial. Overall, I enjoyed Sting. It has a few issues here and there, and it's by no means an amazing film, but the extraterrestrial angle explains away the decidedly non-natural behaviour of the titular terror, and this film puts the majority of its 8 feet in the right place, mostly traversing the uneven tones of the story without issue. That said, it's still probably not for arachnophobes. Try Spider-Lord TV instead. Thanks for listening. I've been Critic. I'll be back with another review soon.